Hi, my name is Trevin Edgeworth, and I am the Red Team Practice Director for Bishop Fox. My team focuses on anything and everything related to adversary emulation, Red Team and Purple Team operations, ransomware simulations, social engineering, physical breaches, tabletop exercises. We even help customers to build their own new Red Teams. We have some of the coolest customers on the planet. And one of the most essential aspects of red teaming is that you need to have strong situational awareness and use what each environment is giving you. And sometimes what that environment is giving you is not so much technical in nature, but rather more event-based, situational, based on changes or key things that are happening at that target environment from a business or IT or other standpoint. For example, the timing of a company's earnings report, or a new work from home or return to work strategy, major holidays, or even world events. Because changes create windows of opportunity, sometimes even more so than technology and people and processes do. I was reminded of this recently when I read that the United States Security and Exchange Commission's X account was compromised and abused at a time when X is undergoing some very significant organization changes, and the public has been anticipating a major decision around approval of Bitcoin ETFs for trading, potentially manipulating markets there. The fact is, we are all always in a state of change ourselves and our companies that we're with. And there are so many different change scenarios where an attacker can really use their knowledge of change to increase the likelihood of their attacks. But to illustrate, I'd like to talk about a couple of very specific examples. The first of these is mergers and acquisitions. These are usually announced, they're public knowledge. Just read the news, or you can query a site like Crunchbase. It'll tell you all about mergers that are happening. And having been through a lot of these on both sides of the buyer, as well as the bot, as well as major divestitures of entire business units being sold to other companies, I have seen and experienced firsthand just how much change and chaos this can create, and people's worlds can be really turned upside down as suddenly their responsibilities are being shifted to focus more on merger and divestiture related projects like maintaining and obtaining access to things. You might be a lead IT engineer or an architect for a system, or a security incident responder, or you might do vulnerability management, but suddenly all of that takes a back seat because now you are being relied on to spend the next several weeks and months adapting your new world to that change, helping to consolidate different tools and applications and domains between these two companies. But you still need to do your normal day job, and that might be pretty critical to your security organization. It can really present a unique window of vulnerability to companies where key personnel in IT and security already have their hands full and are potentially distracted. So, not to mention that suddenly you've got a whole lot of new faces in your new company, some possibly disgruntled, others possibly gruntled. But these people are going to suddenly have access issues, and things aren't working right necessarily for them. And those kinds of communications and requests and issues are going to be pretty normal. It's like join the club, you and 1,000 other people need access to this new system. That's a time when your organization can be especially ripe for social engineering types of pretext, emails with a subject related to the merger. The recipient may not recognize that sender, but they still more readily will let their guard down because they appear to come from that acquired company. Or a communication may be about needing to respond right away, or you won't have access to systems or data that you need to do your job, or the benefits that you need. The possibilities really are pretty endless there. A couple of months ago, we did a red team for a major company that was going through a merger, and we sent a communication to some of the employees of the acquired company saying that their old email was being decommissioned, and sent them a link to a form that they could fill out that asked them if they needed access to their prior email inbox and or to keep the email address itself for whatever business reason. Obviously, that link was malicious. They couldn't submit it without accepting a payload that we sent them. People just tend to let their guards down and trust people in these situations. Additionally, that technical environment is in flux as things are migrated and moved logically or physically, with an emphasis on making things work and not necessarily on securing them. They'll worry about securing them later. Right now, it's about making things work, and all that creates overall opportunity across your non-human technical estate. But even without it being an MFA, organizations that are going through org changes in general can give attackers insight into their environments there. Companies broadcast very often when they're either adding people, specific executives or individuals, and also when they are letting go, such as to assuage investors, that they're cutting costs and getting their financials in a better place there. All of these things can present opportunities for social engineering, similar to the situation I mentioned. Finally, sometimes companies love to announce very major technical initiatives, for example, moving to the cloud. Whether or not they make a press release, this is also pretty easily obtainable information. Usually, just look at IT and security job postings, and they will tell you a wealth of information and clues about that environment. They might say they're looking for somebody with experience doing major deployments of this very specific web application framework or an EDR product, or maybe looking for someone experienced with large scale migrations from on-prem systems to cloud environments. Wonder what kind of change is going on there. Think of what kinds of windows of opportunity those types of public broadcasts might signal to an attacker wanting to do you harm. It might tell an attacker that a company is working very closely with a particular third-party vendor and that they are expecting a lot of new or increased communications from them within a certain time period very soon, or that a key system or a part of that target's infrastructure might be very nascent to their environment and not fully configured for a few weeks or months. And security posture then might even be reduced during that time as they're moving to that new service or platform. So what can we do? We can be situationally aware, just like the attackers are, and be mindful during moments of significant public change in your company. That might be a great time to send out a security awareness refresher or a primer, or even just a subtle reminder to your employees that these things can happen during moments of change and capitalized on by attackers. Also realizing that major technical changes might result in a temporary window of vulnerability as new systems are not yet fully configured and your people are still getting used to them, and just factor that into your risk management decisions overall. Also be aware that information published publicly can be used to great advantage by nefarious types to gain an advantage when it comes to social engineering. So be smart about what you broadcast to the world about the technology and use at your environment and changes within that same environment as well. These can keep you pretty safe during the major moments of change. Thanks for listening.